not be back next Thursday for another meeting.
Okay.
They may make an application instead and just go forward with it. With the changes, they're making all the changes. Okay, we're going to open the meeting of the HCC on March 12th, 2015. This is a special meeting for Stageman's Path, the 40 units in the affordable housing component on Surfside Road. It is 12:08. Present are John McLaughlin, Diane Coons, Dawn Hill-Holgate, Linda Williams. Christine Glazer is on her way any moment. We do have an audio recording and a tape recording, so if anybody else would like to record the meeting, they need to let us know now. Rich, you're not taping, right?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Alrighty, and we have an agenda. So I want to make a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Diane's made a motion to approve the agenda. All those in favor? Present in the audience is Rich Kerr, who's an interested party.
CPC member, so I'm interested.
You can feel free to come up to the table.
Oh, fine.
Because this is what we have here is what you're going to get. Okay, can you hear it back there?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, John.
And representing the applicants are
Mickey Rowland.
And Ben Norman.
What do you want? On it. I sent it.
all right. Christine is here. We're just starting. So you got all your stuff over there. Okay, let me get settled for a second. Okay.
No,
Basically, this is a 40-unit affordable housing subdivision, and they are going to present us with about eight different designs. They're going to go in different directions in different locations. It won't be the same two next to each other. And they're being capped on sizes and accoutrements to the house by the state, by DHCD. Because the original group that came through some time ago, which Mickey and Ben were not involved with, came through and they were more ornate, they were larger, I think there was more design to them. And DHCD smacked that down because they gave a lot of money for this project and they wanted everything cut based on mainland standards. So Mickey and Ben have done their best to make these look not like a low subdivision, but they did their best to use traditional Nantucket styling, but they have to be a certain size. Okie dokie.
So I'd like you to look at the colored packet first. This shows kind of,
Don't have one?
he does. This shows this is as Linda said, a 40-unit subdivision. Today we're only really talking about the phase one, which is the first 15 that are going to be built. They are...
In phase one, if you can't see it, is on the first page of your big plan.
Yeah, the big plan.
Right? Phase one is this red section.
It's to the front and to the right-hand side of the subdivision as you drive in.
Okay.
And there's
That way they can get the infrastructure done all at the time.
eight different house types, which will be scattered throughout phase one. So on the sheet one of your color plans, it shows the overall view of and the layout and kind of the density of the neighborhood. It also shows there's intended to be a pretty significant buffer, even though some of that's been wiped out. It's going to get replaced on Surfside Road. And obviously the individual homeowners, once they move in, will be planting and screening their homes as best they can between each home. The next page, pages 2 and 3, this really is a pretty good illustration of the scale of the houses. All of them are about 25 or 28 feet tall, between 25 to 28 feet. So this kind of gives you a sense of the variety and makeup of the neighborhood when it's built out. Pages 4 and 5 really puts you down on the street level. Shows more of the variety of the houses, which I think tends to give the neighborhood kind of a natural, evolved feel rather than a suddenly built development.
In New Jersey subdivision, every fifth house is the same house.
Exactly.
Every kind of is.
So the sixth
Every kind of house.
sheet shows just a front view of the basic house types, and there are variations within these. But
Looks
this
like Essex Road.
this kind of gives you a, although they didn't put the buttons on the windows, there will be buttons. This gives you sort of an overall view of the different house types.
We have a French bulldog for some reason.
All right. And then just some sort of general comments. Just keep in mind that this is a neighborhood for regular, hardworking islanders. It's not for wealthy summer people. In most cases, this will be their first home. They are meant to be simple and attractive, and most importantly, affordable. All of these styles mimic the styles that the townspeople built for themselves over 100 years ago. They're all pretty indigenous house types. They're not perfect designs in all respects. I think the fronts are generally quite on, but the sides and rears have some maybe some issues, but that's maybe not unintentional either. It's a it's meant to be a real neighborhood. It's not Woodbury Lane. It's not Main Street. Over the years, the houses will eventually be modified with additions and porches and decks, and obviously lots of landscaping. You need to allow them to have the same sort of irregularities and quirks that you see in the sides and backs of practically all of the modest houses built long before the HDC existed. Don't try to make them perfect.
Yeah, I don't know why they did the 3D models of only 5. There's 8, yeah.
Yeah, all of these house types were really pulled from neighborhoods that you see kind of on the outskirts of towns, built in the mid to late 1800s, like Lower Orange Street, Union, Pleasant, Prospect, and North Liberty and Cliff. They're all pulled from houses you'll find in those areas. So starting to look at the packet of the drawings that you are holding, Linda, I'd like to go through each one individually before you guys start commenting on them, and then we'll go back and revisit them. But I want to give you a general sense of each plan first.
Well, for their edification, is the back end of all of the 8, is somewhere along the line, the back end of all the 8 going to face Surfside Road?
No, I don't think so.
So these units that are up on Surfside Road are not all representative of the 8. They're just, you know what I'm saying? We need to know about looking at the backs of these, whether that's going to work on Surfside Road.
Well, I think we'll be able to assess those individually when we look at the specific lots. I think you can assume that most of these are going to be fairly visible all around. Not entirely, because there will be buffers behind. But it's the fronts that are clearly the emphasis here. The sides and the backs will be less visible, as most projects.
Except for the ones that are facing backed up to the bike path.
Right.
Those are the ones I'm most concerned about on some of the backs when I looked at this the first time.
All right. Well, we'll look at those individually.
Will you tell us what your materials list is as well, in terms of what the roof looks like, what the trim looks like?
Yep, that's all.
You're thinking.
Yep, that's on
It'll
there.
be on the applications, but in general terms, it's all going to
We're
be.
going to get 40 applications.
I know, that's what I want to
Yeah,
know.
they're all going to be white cedar shingles. They're all going to be asphalt roofs.
What kind of asphalt?
I
Well,
think
we have that identified actually on these plans.
Yeah, you can vary that.
yeah.
Yep. On the second page, we do these streetscapes by the large set. And we actually identify the color of the trim, window, front door, and roof material. So we've done, we've gone through and tried to vary it as much as possible between 3-tab and architectural and gray and black and Harvard slate. So,
Hold on, Don has a question.
Yep.
about that.
I just saw in it was actually not about the colors, it's about the windows. Anderson 200 series?
yep.
Aren't those snap and grills?
I don't know if they're snap and
The
grills.
200 series is not going to work here. They're going to be replacing them in a year. We've had people, nobody
The
uses them
200.
anymore here. No one. Not even John or I or Dawn, and we're building our own house. No one uses the 200 series because they suck. And they don't last. And we haven't approved a 200 series in, I don't know, 10 years?
The big issue is whether they're good quality or
Right.
not.
Right,
It
right,
doesn't
right.
matter to me, it's
I'm
the
not
look.
Yep.
Well, that's a good question, and I think we can address
The
that.
200 does not have permanently applied grills to the exterior, and if they do, they're not the right kind of grills.
Right.
They're
We're
these
not
like
using them.
flat.
That's fine. I'm not keen on them myself, but that's what they wanted to
There's
use.
a big cost difference,
Well,
I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there is.
They're not getting the 200 from me at least.
Okay, so,
well, thank you for pointing that out, I see it all.
yeah, we're trying to make it as varied as we can, different colors, different, even trim packages to make
And do we
them.
know which ones are as tall as 28? Does this come under the Surfside area?
We don't care about this. The ones that are in the 25 zone are the ones that are within 200 or 300 feet of the shoreline. Nobody, and well, we either. The Surfside did not have any stand on this at all, this far away from the water.
Is this part of the Surfside Area Development Plan?
Yeah. But the 25 feet was basically perimeter zoning, which is along,
The water's.
Yeah, so it's on the water, yeah.
Yeah.
No, Nantucket, those.
because all the housing authority properties and the ones across the street, they're all 25 to 30.
Oh, I see, okay. Architectural, retail.
Yeah, we're trying to mix up that, we heard that from that initial meeting a couple Tuesdays ago, where it couldn't all be the same roof material. So we are trying to mix up through tab and architectural and the colors within that material. But it is going to be asphalt, there's no wood roofs going in.
How does everybody feel about the windows themselves, whether they're 1/1s, 2/2s, 6/1s, 6/6s?
Let's look at that on each individual house. Let me, just give me a minute to go through each, there's only 8 of them. We'll go through them very quickly, briefly describe, and then we'll come back and talk about the specifics.
Which page do you want us on?
A2?
Basically, A2.
You mentioned everybody had a comment about the windows. Yes, I do. In the past.
Well, he said, that he asked us to wait for each individual structure, because we're going to get to that as we move through them. So this is number 1.
Yeah, it's basic, it's A, and the 2 designates all the elevations. So this is Plan A, and it's a 3-bay. This is a really common house type throughout the outskirts of town. It's all over the place. This particular one is a handicapped unit with a bedroom on the first floor. Really no use on the second floor at all. This is a 1-bedroom house, and trying to keep it simple, but it does have the additive form of the addition to the side. So B
On the second floor.
is also a 3-bay. This one is even simpler. It's a 1-bedroom house.
I'm moving to A3.
B2, B1, B2.
B and C.
B.
B.
Can you just get back to A2 for a second? Am I concerned about the basements in this?
They all have basements.
Yep.
But the
Yeah.
ZBA wouldn't let him put the walk down where the egress went. We're going to get that taken. But do you want us to comment per design?
Not yet. I'd really like to just get the overall view of each house, and then we'll come back and pick them apart if you want. So Plan B is another 3-bay. It's just a little simpler than A because it doesn't have the ward on the side for the bedroom. It's a 1-bedroom. The bedroom's on the second floor, so it has a dormer in the back.
Where's the bathroom?
Plan C
Bathroom on the second floor?
is salt box. Pretty simple. Got an asymmetrical dormer on the back. That's not that uncommon. If we were to make that dormer larger, it would only create useless space, cost more money. Plan D. This is a sort of a simple cottage Victorian-style building. It's very common along Lower Orange Street, Pleasant Street, Cliff Road area. This is the 2-bedroom version. You'll see another one with 3 bedrooms. Plan E. Again, another 3-bay. This one has a 3-bedroom, so it's got a couple of other additions and warts and additive massing along the back and side. F. This is your sort of standard colonial or Quaker-style house. Pretty simple.
Really, E3?
F.
Unless you're behind.
Moving on to G.
Hold on, we have to go to F. It's only problems with the other one.
We'll get back to it. G. What are you looking at? You're looking at F. That's
Or
a,
F2.
yeah, colonial Quaker. Fairly simple. Trying to keep it simple. And G. It's gable front, This is sort of a simple, affordable Greek revival shape. Basically, we just less formal trim than you see on a lot of Greek revivals throughout town. And H is another version of the cottage Victorian. This one has the side additive mass for another additional bedroom. So that gives you the general look.
What are the most expensive additions that we shouldn't ask for? I mean, like, if we ask for an extra window, is that
They gotta deal with the windows.
within your scope or not?
Well,
Or-
you know, obviously everything you add is going to cost money, so we're trying to keep this within the proper budget.
But we also
Cost
want it
categories.
to look like it is a low-income housing area, and that we're trying to avoid that. So even when we built housing, we built the My Comet Village right off the bat, we fought for the stuff to make it look like it was more Nantucket. There's some issues here with these windows.
Well,
I'm not sure with the massing, but certainly with the window issue.
that's
And
fine.
the lack of fenestration.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So
lack of.
Yeah, and we can't go there just because it's affordable.
no, I know.
It's gotta be, it can't look like it's like low rent. You
I'm-
can't do it.
We don't. Nobody wants that either. Nobody wants it to look like.
But you got weird
Inappropriate.
doors and you got small windows on the first floor, large windows on the second floor, the
You know-
window. John has comments about the windows.
That's fine. Well, that's what we're here to discuss. But I don't want you to expect every elevation of all of these buildings is going to look like a perfect building designed,
No.
for
But
Main Street.
there's some that are so far off, it's not funny, so we gotta deal with that.
Well, let's talk about it.
And we also have to deal, anytime you see rear, keep in mind that the ones that are right on the bike path, the rear is towards the bike path. So the rear of those particular structures, when they come in individually, we're going to be hammering them structures back up to the bike path. Because they hammered the housing authority for the same reason, having those awful sliders 10 feet away from the bike path. And the screening was supposed to be put back, and we never had the money to put it back. So we couldn't see
There's
it.
any sliders on.
No, there isn't, but that, we've already been through this at the housing authority.
Do you want
Do you want to go
a
over the
list
board?
And
of,
do you want to start with A2 first, go back to A2?
well, why don't, here are the first 5 houses that are going to face Surfside Road. We have a D, a G, a B, a C, and an A.
Well, eventually you'll have all of them, because we're not doing the other half of
I
Surfside
think we
Road.
could do some
Just do-
broad comments.
Yeah, just do one,
That's really all we're looking
Diane,
for.
then
at
we're
the
going to get
moment.
those by themselves anyway.
Yeah.
But let's go to A2
So I think we
first.
should do some broad comments on
Yeah.
Good.
Ron?
To address the Surfside Road piece, the bulkheads that pretty much throughout all of the designs are on the back. When, for those particular houses that are on Surfside Road, we
Right.
need to bring the bulkheads to a side elevation. I think that would be very helpful
Okay.
in mitigating just the things that we don't want to see on Surfside Road. I think that throughout, you have a lot of small windows with large windows above them, and I think that you have to rethink that. I know that there are issues when it's a kitchen,
That's
but
it.
if it's a bathroom, I think you can put a concession to a bathroom.
Yep.
And the alignment of the windows throughout is
Yeah.
off in certain things, and there's probably closets and things driving that,
Mhm.
but anywhere that those things can be fixed, I think would be really helpful.
Let's stay on this one.
This one in particular, H2,
That's an issue.
I would, one more broad point. I know that it is an expense issue, and I probably can't convince you to do this, but it's so strange on Nantucket to have this many houses with not a chimney on any one of them.
Yeah.
Really weird. We don't have anything like that here.
Yeah, it's a good point, and I'm not sure what we could do about that, to be honest with you.
Even for fake chimneys. Box. Or they've got wood stove.
I mean, I would think that, you know, for heating costs
People
and
are
so
gonna do
forth,
that.
some of these people would love to have the ability to have a wood stove or a gas
Yeah.
fireplace or something. If there was some kind of a chimney that's a vent rather than a full masonry chimney.
Yeah.
It makes it look like tract housing, when you don't have a single chimney and 40 units in one
Are you guys
place.
doing air conditioning?
I don't think we're
No.
providing it.
They're
no.
doing heat pumps, right? They're doing heat pumps.
They're doing.
It's been all over the place.
Geothermal?
No,
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 it's
no,
not
they're
geothermal.
doing geothermal. They might be doing mini
They don't.
splits.
Because,
We tried to
well,
talk
mini
about
splits,
it.
we're gonna need to know where the condensers are gonna be.
Yeah.
Those will come up individually. I think we're going to get it,
Okay.
just like any other house, you'll get a specific application.
Huge concern. I think these should be air conditioned in some way, otherwise we are gonna end up with window units everywhere, because it's too hot here in the summer now.
Yeah.
People are using air conditioning. This isn't gonna be a dense community. It's not near
I
enough
think it's
to
very
the water
short-sighted
to
not to
get,
include AC.
Yeah.
Not to mention
to get a breeze. It's just,
what it does to the interior of the
Yep.
houses.
Well, you know, there is a plan, not here necessarily, but I've seen it, where they will do one big unit, and one big unit buried, or something along those lines, actually feeds multiple houses, so they don't have to have individual ones.
You're talking about geothermal.
It's a base unit that will do
Geothermal's
air
very
and
Yeah.
heat, but it's
Mhm.
cheaper because it's one unit, and then all of them have their own
the mini
heat.
splits are
Yeah.
pretty economical.
Yeah, these are all good comments. We'll bring them back to the,
They won't listen about this heat stuff.
well, we'll bring it back to them and see how
Well,
they.
it's
I
a
had
really
that
big concern
call.
from
I
an
know,
HTC
listen.
perspective to know that there are gonna be window units in every one of these buildings.
Yeah.
There's,
And we're not gonna
there's
put up
not
with
a lot of people that I know that don't use exact.
I don't, I hate it.
I know.
Well, there's not a lot of people that I know. That's what
I
I'm
know.
saying.
Okay,
They're all sitting at this table.
I hate it.
It depends on where you live.
I
You've
grew
got
up
more
down in Memphis,
airflow
and I
around,
hated it
so.
down there. Right, can we stay here? All right, John, you have a comment on this unit? This is A2,
A,
A2.
A2. Yes, I should mention windows. Right elevation, bottom left, it has casement. It should be either top of the tilt in or fixed.
Right.
You know, you're going to set a precedent there. You don't want to run it all the way through. There's seven of them.
Mhm.
That's my comment on the windows. If you want further
Just
comment,
stay there,
windows.
stay there. Anything else on this one?
Right, okay. Yeah, and on this one, yes, okay, no, as far as A2, I like all of them. I like them. I think they're appropriate,
Tweaks.
both for the designs, but it's minor things that have to be tinkered with. But that's my comment on this one here, is that window.
Yep.
Right,
Got it.
John?
On A2,
Yep.
no, my only wish would be to have two windows in that bedroom on the first floor, right elevation.
Well, we're gonna talk about it differently.
They've got room to put it in.
Okay. Christine, anything else to add
Um,
on this one?
I think basically you've done a really nice job with all these houses, but I have to say that the D house is my least favorite.
All right, let's stay on
But
A2.
fenestration,
Let's stay on A2.
A2, I think that if you could add another window or two, it would help. I mean, the other thing, that's about it. I don't have anything else around.
Okay.
The building.
I'm never gonna approve an 1,800 bed, right? Maybe it's a 200, not gonna happen. But when you go to A2, to have a pent roof makes no sense. This is not a Victorian, a pent roof is completely out of place here, and I said it to you on an email. The pent roof is not appropriate. They're expensive and it's not appropriate on a design of this style, especially over a huge deck. It will not happen that way, so the tent roof needs to go. On that right elevation, there's a big issue for me on that right elevation because it's less than a foot away from the corner board. Nobody would do that. It would be just part of the building. It's not set back enough from either side. It has to come in another 6 inches or so, and it has to be evenly centered on that wall, not off center. It's off center. So I don't know what you can do with that, but do something with it, either go all the way out,
Well,
or
you
I'd
don't-
rather it not.
You don't want it flush.
No, I don't, but it needs to be not flush then. It can't be 6 inches not flush,
Well, see, you're saying make the addition smaller and the building larger.
either way. But just make sure there's at least a foot difference and it's even on both sides.
Well,
And
this-
then everybody else has said also that you need another window in here.
Yeah.
They're not off kilter. On the back elevation, that's gonna face Surfside Road, and you got two little windows completely off center. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I know there's not a lot of room inside.
Go back to the pent roof for a second, because when you look at the front elevation and you look at the wart coming off the right and you look at the left, if you take the pent roof off, do you have another suggestion?
No, it's normal to have an addition off one side.
Can,
It's not normal to
But
have a tin
not
roof.
this big, not that projects out
That's
that
what I'm
far.
saying. No, if projecting out okay, it's the
It's
width.
better that it's a whole room rather
Yeah.
than.
Well, it is good that it's a whole
Your
room,
little bump on.
but I don't know, I see it differently in terms of the pent roof on the left. so.
But
A porch would work.
a porch would work better.
could I make,
Hold on one second, I'm not done. The two windows on the back elevation, there are two tiny little windows. The addition window is too big compared to those two. It's off kilter,
they're in the
and they're
kitchen.
not, they don't make any sense where they are. If it's faced, particularly, if it's facing backwards, in the front face of Surfside Road, fine, as you get into the middle of the development. But the fact that the back of that is going to face, that may be the one unit going backwards you'll have to fit.
You know, I'm
Not
not,
all of them, Mickey, just that one.
I know, but symmetry, every elevation doesn't have to be symmetrical.
I have a
I
problem
don't
with
really
it.
share that concern.
The bigger windows in this stupid board.
So we can make that smaller. Maybe we can make the number twos a slightly bit bigger, but they are kitchen windows.
Well, one of them is not over a counter.
It's just in a clear space. Next to the back.
Oh, wait, no, I'm sorry. That's the wrong. I'm looking at the floor.
One is on the counter,
One is on wall.
and one is on a wall.
Yep,
Oh, same thing. One is not over
Yeah.
a counter.
yep.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fix it.
if you want them,
And you can generally make them bigger. You don't need that spacing above the counter.
Yeah,
You can bring it right down.
yeah, we can
Yeah.
look at
Mine
this.
are cut into the counter.
Just make the
I don't
twos
like the
bigger.
They're not
cut-in
going to
looks
do that.
horrible.
We'll look at the
It's
sizes.
a whole thing with rollouts under it.
Yeah,
That's where you
but,
bake.
okay, then, but I've seen it where the
I know,
window
where it's
goes
just-
below the
just
countertop,
dry.
and
That's
you
stupid.
notice it from outside, and
Yeah.
it's really weird.
All right.
On that A2 house, the back is going to face Surfside Road. So the left, it's going to have a door, another door in it.
No door, the window,
On the left elevation
which is side.
side is having a door
Yeah, we know that.
with a pent roof. If that door is there, I might suggest either a railing or something going up to it, so
Well, Diane, it's not set up that way. Look at the deck below it.
I
The deck
looked
is
at the
huge.
deck.
It's not tiny. You
Yeah.
can't put a railing on it. No, they don't require a railing either, but they don't have a stoop going to the door. It's sort
yeah,
of,
I can see how big it is. I
Out
was
there.
just thinking if these people have kids, that you should make it somewhat friendly for them to get into the house and.
You mean a railing around the deck or a handrail on the
No,
stairs?
not on the deck, just up.
you can't put one there because of where the dimensions of the deck, a railing will be in the middle of the deck.
Not if you put it up along the wall, going up, so if some kid
Yeah.
needs to climb up, he can hold on to something.
Yep.
Every time you put a railing on anything, it's going to cost a lot of money.
This
That
one,
they will not put up with.
is this the accessible unit, Ben? I think.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
to be accessible.
So this may end up with a somewhat of a ramped,
Right.
we
have to
haven't
deal with it.
shown that yet because we don't know
Per unit
yet.
that's going in. All
Yeah.
right, move on to B2. My issue with B2 is it was the back elevation again, and the lack of trim. I mean, when you look at the front elevation on this one, there's like nothing.
So you're saying heavier trim?
On the door.
Yeah, the
On the
front
front
doors
door?
should be front doors.
All the front doors, for now, we've shown them all the same. They're going to get different sort of unique
They
trim
need to.
trim packages on the
Okay,
different
so that
doors.
was an overall comment,
Yeah.
the front doors, because
Yeah.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
The back elevation, again, look at it from Surfside Road, you got two little windows, I don't mind the size of the dormer, but again, I thought the dormer could actually get bigger top to bottom.
Move the bulkhead around the side.
Because it faces
If it
Surfside
faces
Road.
Surfside.
Yeah.
Not when they're on the interior.
You don't want a
Right.
taller dormer?
Well,
Super picture.
you know, that puts the top of the window way up beyond
No,
this
look at
wall.
it.
No, we can't make it lower because of the roof plane. These are set at like 6'8". It's not that these are low
But
windows.
you've got so much more room, you can have more room. You're cutting off their headroom. by
No,
having such a short dormer.
they have headroom. It's just that the below that is, the second floor window goes through the middle of
Yeah, you
this.
see how much space you have here? That's what I'm talking about.
Well, if we raise the window taller, it would be like 7.5 or 8 feet above the floor.
And we can steepen the pitch of the dormer.
I don't know, we'll leave it up to you, but this is a
Yeah.
really short, tiny little dormer. We have the opportunity of having enough space to make it bigger, so you have more space. But John's gonna talk to you about the fact that these have to be 3/3s or something else.
Yeah.
Can I comment
Yep.
on these windows? I measured, I compared B2 to C2, dormer and C2.
Yep.
All right, the dormer on this house here, the whole roof coming down is 11 feet. This one is 13,
Yep.
all right? So the height to this is 9.5,
Okay.
and the height to this is 7. Now the dormer, if it was put higher, like to match this one,
Yeah.
same size and height, you can get double hung windows in there.
Well, I was just
Okay.
trying to
Down
explain
here.
the floor level.
Oh, you're not showing it.
I know, but the floor level is probably about here. So these are normal head height above the floor.
Right.
If you raise the window up to here, the window's going to be up at 9 feet.
If this is the bottom of the window,
Yeah.
right,
Yep.
then, and that's the top of the window, it still serves its purpose, part of the window.
It's
You
because
got the
they're
same
already
thing-
top.
You got the same thing working here at the bottom.
Yeah,
Right.
You've got,
exactly.
the bottom
Yep.
is the same.
They're already top sash.
Yeah,
You
the
don't
bottom
put
is the same.
another top
It's-
sash above them.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll look at those
Yeah, I
issues.
got it. I understand.
Okay, thank you.
Also, the windows,
Yeah.
the number 2 windows
Yep, that's
are
fine.
square, not.
Yeah,
They
we're
have to
They
relate
have to
more
change
to
all the
the,
number
they
two.
have to relate more to the vertical panes.
we're going to try to make the number 2s a little bigger. I don't know
Yeah.
what size.
Maybe when we go to when we leave, because 2 series are very limited in size.
Yeah.
4 series, we get a little bit more variation between different sizes. So we might be able to improve on these.
Anybody have any issues with the
Right.
dimensioning on this one? Or the lack of a window on the
There
right?
must be another.
There, they need another window.
With SDL?
Or is it gonna be in Anderson 200?
It's like the go-to window.
Yeah, I haven't looked
They
at
look
it.
crappy
I
and
haven't,
they are crappy.
yeah.
You have to have an entire
Would we
subdivision
allow
with
any
Anderson
one over
200, it's
ones?
not happening.
Is a question.
Was it?
Would we allow any one over ones? And here is a question.
Probably.
You know?
That's what I'm saying.
that you need another window in that bedroom,
Which bed?
on the
Which,
B,
the
Second floor?
second floor,
Where?
on the left wall.
In the gable end?
No.
Well,
Downstairs they need another one, right?
Yeah, downstairs they need one window. Upstairs they got cross the track.
they have 2 windows in that bedroom. And that's a big wall plan, I don't know.
Well, it's only one bed, it's a single bedroom.
it's already got 2 windows. So
Yeah.
you're saying,
Yeah,
Christine,
it's already got 2 windows.
on the left
It has
elevation.
one window, one lonely window in that whole wall plan. And then you have another small window, the one.
Which elevation are you talking about?
There's a closet.
Yeah, I'm not terribly worried about this one because it's so small.
Which one are we
What,
on?
putting a window
We're
in?
still on B, right?
Yeah, but you guys are looking at the plans for C.
Right elevation. If we had a choice of a window, I would.
I would put one
Oh,
out.
it's the staircase.
Yeah, it's a staircase in the pantry. They don't have a lot of room, it's a one-bedroom thing.
I know what it is.
Well, could you put like a 3/3 and then stand maybe?
should be okay.
Well, that number,
Would be the bottom sash.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
I don't have an issue with the B2 because it's so small. There are other ones that have bigger picture size.
Well, I think the shape of the window panes
Yeah,
are
he's
important,
gonna
because
fix
this place is gonna be looked at
Yes, he knows. He's fixing the windows. He's going
with
to a
a
different one.
microscope.
You need to keep going. C1. It's better, guys, when you put the floor plan after the plan.
Yeah,
It's
seeing that.
It's not helping.
Seeing that.
I get it.
All right, we're on the salt box, which is C2.
Yep.
Again, it's those little weirdo windows.
Mhm.
Number 4 window,
Yep.
there's one window with the dormer. The dormer was the biggest problem. Can you make it a full shed dormer?
Personally, I don't think that's a problem. I think a dormer to one side is not that unusual.
It's the back,
It is, that's my point. It is the
not
back of
towards
the house.
Surfside Road. There's not one on
Wouldn't you
the
have to see
entire
a
lane.
smaller dormer?
No, I'd rather see one that was, salt boxes have a tendency, lived in many of them, to have, not obviously 3 feet in, to have a full dormer.
You've seen historic ones with like a lot of random dormers shoved in like that are, to add a bathroom.
This is not an historic neighborhood, and it's not
Well,
going to look like
we're
it.
trying to make it feel like an old historic
shouldn't.
neighborhood.
I'm
It's
just.
I prefer it the way it is. I prefer that it
Rather
not
see
be
it
enlarged.
smaller.
And you don't think that dormer is too big for that one little window? It's too wide. We
If
don't
you want
approve
the
of
cheek
that.
walls to come in, is that what's bothering you?
Yes. It's either the cheek walls come
Except that
in.
that's the bathroom.
That's the bathroom, I'd make the window
That's
a
what I'm
bigger
saying. If they
size.
can't do this to fill the wall,
Right.
then they've got to go bigger.
They
With more
can put
windows.
2 windows in it.
You got room to put a bigger window, don't you, up there in that thing?
Well, not vertically, but, and you don't want it to get wider,
I think
the
it's
window.
fine.
You have to put 2 windows in to fill that more. And it's a
Wait,
bathroom.
We just have given so many people so much crap about having that much wall plane in a dormer
Right.
without pulling the cheek walls in.
That's true.
That's the problem.
That
I
is
can't consider that this is an affordable
No,
unit.
I agree,
But I don't.
agree with you that it
But
should
I'm not
be.
sure which way to go. If it gets longer, then we have more windows, which makes it look normal, like all other salt
But they
boxes.
have nothing, no stuff to do in there.
You're basically saying to put at least 2 windows in it. Whether it's-
I looked at the plan of what's here, right here in the red, on the front page. There's 3 C3s facing the road, that you'll see from the road. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 2 of them are to the front of the house.
See, one, this one,
Yep,
and 2, 3.
right.
There's 3 of them going to be facing the road.
Well, 2 of them are the front of the house faces the road, and the third one, the back of the house faces Surfside Road. Right.
Well, at least one of them faces Surfside Road.
Okay, yeah, I see, you did a good point, I missed that
Yeah.
one. I didn't look at the front of that.
Yeah,
Okay, then, okay, in that case,
it's the back of that one that
Well,
faces
one of them.
Surfside. Yeah.
uh,
All right, we'll look at that dormer and see if we can fill in.
Something,
Yeah.
larger, small, I'm good with that. Or if there's more space to it.
And on that, I'm not sure on this one, the C2, that the deck on the back, this is one of the ones on Surfside Road,
Yeah.
that there should be a deck between the back of the house and the bike path. I said, I don't think that that's the place to have a deck
Yes, or they all are, even at the housing authority.
facing the bike path. Well, it doesn't make
Because
it,
it's screened.
it doesn't make it good looking, it
Because
does,
it's screened.
what?
They're screened.
There's some big standards.
Yeah, but they're
You
screened.
can see the ones at the housing authority, it's clear as you're
Well,
standing
that's
there.
because they never put the screening back. That's not the case here. They've been told that.
They were up to my least favorite house.
All right, we're up to D1. D1.
Let's hear it for D1.
Let's hear it, 'cause things don't match. And your trim doesn't match, guys. I don't know what happened to the gable. The gable trim doesn't match anything else in the house.
This one has projecting rates.
It shouldn't.
Well, it should, it's in this style house.
Not really.
You drive around in those neighborhoods I mentioned, the Lower Orange, Cliff area,
Everywhere.
look a little more
Like Chicken
carefully.
Man.
Cabot Lane, Lower Orange Street.
I think in that D, your bedrooms upstairs only have one window,
Yes, I know.
and if you're asking them if the decision hasn't been made about air conditioning, I think you're
Short-sighted.
I think, Christine, is it one of the things that you find least favorable about this is the lack of fenestration everywhere?
Aesthetically, I just don't like its verticality, and I don't, yes, and I don't like the fenestration, I don't like the sliders on the back.
And it's a 12 pitch, along with the rest of it.
I don't like the sliders on the back of the house. Yeah, it's just, that's my reaction, my immediate reaction.
Yeah, I understand that, but I think, we do need to bring in a mix of different styles of houses.
We got that.
And this
This
is,
does not work, this didn't work for me.
this
for
style
a
is
reason.
not unusual on Nantucket.
John?
The three gable, the D, there's only one in that red section.
Yep.
It's typical, as you said, and you started up your presentation, that a lot of these three gables are all along Pine Street and Fair Street. So,
Yeah, up in there too.
Yeah, they're in there.
Typical.
Yep.
I think it's the roof too, across the front door, how it goes across the side trim, and I don't know, it just looks like,
I think it should go all the way out. It should fill in the entire space, I think
Yeah.
would be more typical.
it's
It comes all the way up to the table.
conflicting, I don't know.
It should go further out.
Yeah, it's too shallow.
Well, it's a stoop. It's not big enough
It's
to
gonna
actually
have to.
live
But
on.
if it's Victorian, then you're gonna have to do that.
They would have really used
Yes, it would have gone all the way up to the corner board.
Well, let's all look around more and see
Well,
what's
it doesn't
happening.
matter, Mickey, because you also have a whole expanse over that door that this is trying to camouflage, that doesn't have any fenestration in it.
Well, and if you brought it out further, the whole roof would move up.
Yeah, it would get longer.
And that's what we're looking for.
That would be much.
Mhm.
Should we move on?
Yeah.
No, I think the small 2/2s aren't working for me.
Yeah.
They're too
They're too,
square.
I don't know what happened to them. But lack of fenestration on the back elevation over those French doors.
and the right elevation,
Wait a minute, the back elevation on the French
It's not
doors,
a French door, it's a slider.
it shouldn't be. But it shouldn't be a 15 light. But let me tell you, the housing authority, all of their elderly houses back up to Surfside Road, as you know, that's the elderly housing on that side. They all have sliders, and they're all single light sliders. So, but it shouldn't be 15 light if it's got
I think
2/2s.
of all the houses that are appropriate to have a 15-light door, it's this cottage Victorian style where you
But
would
not
expect to see.
15 lights. There are only 6 lights with a 2/2. That's
Oh,
what
no,
we're
you don't
requiring.
want 6
The
lights. No,
modern
no, no,
ones
no,
are
no.
6 lights.
The
You're
old ones
probably
are
right,
15.
most historic district require 15.
I think so.
We haven't been requiring, we've been requiring that the
Well,
doors
the-
match the window.
No, that's a mistake. The traditional French door should have 15 lights.
15 light.
Well, what about just going to a door with a window?
Yeah, I think that would look.
Well, we can do that, but I think that of all places, this isn't a perfectly acceptable place for a French door.
If this does not
It's
face
not-
to Surfside Road, so
Yes, it does.
the one that faces Surfside Road, we may have to readjust. But I'm concerned about the lack of fenestration over the French
Yeah.
doors. I'm concerned about the lack of fenestration on the right elevation, and certainly how odd the left elevation looks like, with not a window on the right of it, not a window on the left of it, and windows that are not related to each other at all in the gable. So I think of all of them, this one has the biggest problem with windows.
Okay. Got it.
Anybody have a problem with 2/2s?
Not
No.
if you stay to the style, which I think you do need to, I think
You need to fix
the
it.
12 pitch. The 12 pitch.
Keep
If
it
it's
open.
with the 2/2s.
Changing that is going to pull it out of
Yeah.
the current
Yeah,
style.
it won't be 2/2 anymore.
Linda? Yeah. Since you're mentioning that,
Where are you,
there's
John?
a solid wall on D2.
Yeah, we said
Yeah.
that.
You put one of 6 lights in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, something.
6 off of,
We're over to E2
Yeah.
now? It seems to have more windows than the rest of them. I don't know, why aren't they all going on the same page on this one?
Oh, they can fit, I know, it looks like they could, but they just don't.
Yeah, so this I think is more successful in some ways than.
Well, this has more additive massing because it's a 3-bedroom house.
That's it. Yeah, we have an overlap issue here, it's not working.
It's from the front elevation, how that piece that's really a large bump out, the way it just wraps the
But you're looking at it at a specific angle. If you step to the right, you'll see that this is a larger piece of
Yeah, I know, I mean, we
the
see
building.
that.
It's not working.
It just, do you have to wrap it, or you can readjust it so it just fills in that back space?
Wrap it, this is just at that corner, you mean?
This
No,
doesn't
just so
make
it
any
Like,
sense.
if this
Pop out.
gable back here moved over, that would protrude out.
Or if you're gonna break a back on something, then move it so it protrudes further, but it can't protrude like that.
I think those little thick quirks and those small protrusions are what you'd expect to see on the additive massing on an old house. They're all over the place.
Let's stop
But
with
now
that.
you're gonna see it on
It's not an old house.
8 or
It's a
10
brand new
or 10
subdivision,
units.
and to create things we would not
Let's have
approve that
one-
shouldn't be there. This, I've been
Person.
having this semantic argument, the philosophical argument for weeks. We got that you're trying to pick up globally, you're trying to pick up these simpler houses that were built in town, Bear Street, Back Street, etc. But there are some things that we would not approve that were later additions that we would not approve today. And this is a brand-new subdivision, and nobody's going to look at it like anything else than a brand-new subdivision. And the layperson driving by it isn't going to have a clue why that stupid thing is there. And then they're going to come in and ask, why can't I have it? So you have to be realistic with it. I understand the basic premise, but you can't put stuff on a building that we wouldn't approve today, number one. Number two, it's not in the old historic district. Number three, the layperson isn't going to understand how we could have allowed something like that on a brand-new structure. That is the problem. So you've got to regularize as much of it as possible. It can't be something quirked that we wouldn't even do
I
today
think-
on a structure that's today.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I'm not sure I agree with it. I
The
think
public isn't going to understand that.
Which are you, what are
If you look at the
specifically?
back, Dawn picked it up first, if you look at the back, picked it up last week. If you look at the front elevation on E2 and look at that right bump, that's not a bump. If then you go over to the back elevation, look at the left, nobody built anything like that. And the public isn't going to understand why we allowed something so ridiculous on a new house. They're not going to see the little thing that we see that, oh, we're trying to make it look like the quirky stuff in town. They're going to see a brand new house. So let's not get so far afield that stuff comes in that we wouldn't even approve.
well, it's either if I take that rear gable on the back elevation and slide the whole thing to the right, it's going to get too linear, too aligned with the main house. If I slide it to the left, it'll project out more, and maybe that's
Well,
better.
maybe project out more.
Yeah.
More correction.
Yeah.
Not a foot. Sneaking around the back of the house.
And I
It's
think-
not the way it would have been done.
I think that still works in the plan. So like maybe we
The
slide it to the
fenestration
left.
on this is much better. Still, if that 2 windows we get a little bigger, it would be
Obviously, John's going to talk about the six lights, but then you get to the back elevation.
the back
again.
elevation, if
Fenestration screw.
you could figure out a way to align those windows,
Add a
which
window.
maybe you'll be able to do once you make those windows.
Maybe.
And, obviously, same thing with the bulkhead if it's on the side.
Right. Yep.
Okay. Anything else on E3?
No, but you have a flex space on the second floor, coming up the stairs, and the only window you have on that elevation right there is coming up the stairs,
Yep.
and the flex space is therefore not very well lit.
Yep. So maybe put 2 symmetrically.
Yeah.
Yeah, we told you there wasn't enough there already. We're down to F2 now. The windows are chaos. The front is okay. They're lined up there, like they're sort of an extended floor bay. This is one of the taller buildings. But when you get to the back, the left, the rear, the windows are chaos. Dawn?
It's the one window, it's the 2 twos on the left are
On the
combined.
back elevation.
There's 2 of those windows, they're tiny.
And
You
then
know-
you go to the left elevation, and they're
Same
screwed
thing on the
up.
left, they're not aligned.
I know. I mean, that's clear to us too. We've really tried to get these as symmetrical and
But
aligned as
this
possible.
house is a colonial, basically.
Yes.
And it would be lined up all around the house, even in town. Where they would have added a windows if they split the house in 2, one kid got one half, one kid got the other half, or they threw one in the stair. That's where they would add the quirky windows. But they would never be misaligned around this style of house in town. they would have added windows over time that screwed it up. But we're starting out with a misaligned, and we didn't add windows because we don't have too many windows. So, is that everybody's comment about these windows? Christine?
I don't have anything further to add.
Okay, Diane, Sam. Now, does anybody
Again,
think that
the
these
wall.
number 2 windows on this one are better than the other ones, like the number 1 windows? The number 2 windows seem to be the bigger
Yeah,
window
yeah,
that we've
these
been
are
looking for.
good, and then the number 1 windows have gotten back to being like the number 2s on the first drawings.
Somewhere in between.
Yeah, like Ben said, if we have to go to the 400 series, there's much more variety in size,
Yes.
so that'll help.
These two are definitely different.
And if it becomes a little
Yeah.
issue, you know, then back to the CPC for more kind of specific stuff, they
Yeah,
will pick up the difference.
maybe.
What are you giving over the name? They already know about the DHCD problems, the CPC. G2,
I have a question then.
which one?
On E1, E2,
We went past that a long time ago. You want E2 again?
E, Elizabeth, E.
Yep.
Yeah, we just talked about that. You talked about that. As you look in the front elevation, that bump on the right,
Yep.
coming
Yeah.
out.
We already told them to fix it.
Yeah, I was saying, if we brought it back 2 feet in, that would make this room 12 by 12.
Yeah,
You know,
We're-
but
we
there's
might-
enough room to be a double
Okay.
bed.
just like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Did we already do F?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, we're on G2 now.
Yep.
Again, we got too much space in the dormers, way too much space in the dormers. If you were a regular applicant, we'd pull the peak walls down or beef up the dormer, one or the other. But there's way too much room in these dormers. Anybody else have that
Yeah,
comment?
for sure.
This throws the whole house up. Does
Yeah.
anybody have a problem with the flush dormer? I don't.
No, but there's some
Not here.
window alignment issues
It should be a little smaller.
and tiny windows.
And that number 1 is,
And I don't think that's
that's
appropriate.
changed.
I don't, that
Yeah.
doesn't bother me.
That
Yeah,
one.
the reason why it bothered me when I first looked at it is because the sill is
It's
lower than
below.
the planking windows, and you can't do that. So it's gotta go away.
How
Or
about-
it gets smaller.
If we can find the right size, can we make it just like a 3-light? You know, almost a
Probably.
transom like 3-light,
Yeah, feel like it.
so that aligns better.
But you cannot have the sill below the 2 sills on both sides.
Yep.
And then the dormers either get on a window, or you got misalignment in the middle of the building.
You know, it is kind of a conflict we have, especially in the back bedrooms. There's already 2 windows in those bedrooms, and they're small rooms, so we add another window. You have 3 windows in a tiny bedroom.
Can the windows separate on the back, get apart, get away from each other? Like
Yeah.
the front?
Yep.
You can move them a little bit
You move them away
closer,
from each other.
closer to the closet
Then maybe you
You're looking
get-
at the left elevation?
Back on this.
Going back.
back.
Yeah, they can move apart.
So that's what makes it look really weird.
I think we were trying to line up with that door.
The door's
I don't know what to
fixed.
tell you.
I think if you move it closer to the closet and stuff, you'll get better air
And then
through
fix the
there.
location of the kitchen window below it, so it sort of line up.
The door won't.
Anybody else, John, have the dormers, you gotta do something with these huge, all this excess space.
You just told them the other one.
Yeah, he just said.
Put an extra window or pull the cheek walls in, because when you pull the cheek walls in, it makes those bedrooms up there really small.
Exactly. So it's
And this is one of the bigger.
a problem that I'm not sure we're going to be successfully able to address.
Well, then again, you can always drop the eaves and pop it up and you can redo it.
And makes the bedrooms even smaller.
No, if you drop the eave and you put a big shed dormer. So it splits between the 2 rooms.
Then they'll have to be set back a foot, and we'll lose floor space that way.
I mean, you damn if you damn if you don't, but this is work.
Question. Yeah. Looking at G,
Yep.
and as well as H, this is not a true Victorian style, as you mentioned.
Mhm.
Actually, bigger
Right.
with the windows. But you see, out of these eight structures, these are the only 2 that do not have 6-panel doors.
Okay. We're probably going to be changing a lot of these doors anyways, so we'll come back to those.
All right, so you get the issue with the dormers here. And then-
Yes.
Okay. I'm happy with doing that. I like this.
Yeah, it's got the side shed addition.
Christine, comments?
Well, I don't like it. But I particularly don't like these sliding doors on the backside. There's no H in the first phase, so we don't have to worry about that. But I think it needs some,
There are
Same
two,
comments.
there are two.
I know. There's no, you have an AC, a B, a G, and a D.
What is it?
A, C, B, G, D.
Yeah, if you look at H1, page H1, on the locus, you'll see in red dashed in where these houses are.
I'm not happy with this house at all. I don't know about the rest of it. It's too much like that other one, which we had problems with.
It's just like the
Can you do
Right.
something else, an H design or tape
Yeah.
or something?
I think it's important to bring in, this is a different house, and to have it,
Not really.
we
It's
need a
the same as the
gable,
other one.
we need another gable forward house.
Why?
Because it puts variety into the
No,
neighborhood.
you already have a gable forward house. Very distinctive gable forward.
Just one.
Why can't we do something else? Why can't you do a cape? Why can't you do something with dormers? Why can't you do something a little bit more Nantucket,
Well,
which are capes?
which Nantucket are you talking about? 1800s Nantucket
No,
or
I'm not.
1970s
I'm talking about
Nantucket?
now. I'm not buying this issue about trying to make it look like faux Disney World old house on
What
Back
about
Street.
just
I'm
a
not buying it
full
at all.
gable forward?
I'm not buying that.
Say that again?
Just a full gable forward, not,
Well, that goes back to the
G.
G, I guess.
Those are tiny. The G, was it?
No, it's just
small,
three
gable
bedroom.
forward that's small. isn't it?
No,
That
this
one.
is,
I don't know. I'm not happy with this
well,
design the
it's
first
maybe
time,
not
but I
so
can't, I don't want two
dormer.
more of them.
well, what if we, I still think this is a good design to have in the subdivision. I think that maybe if we try to limit the number of times we use it, would that please you better?
Well, I think one of the other things that's going completely off is off the gable, you have another thing hanging off the gable. That shouldn't be hanging off the gable. That should be hanging off the other side.
What are
I
you
don't know,
talking
it's just throwing me completely, that little shed
The-
off, throwing me
or
off.
maybe there's a bump off the
about? The shed is what balances the house. I think the
No,
shed is a good thing.
It's throwing me off
Maybe there's a
completely.
bump off the back elevation.
They don't have a lot of depth in this lot, so you gotta be careful front to back, you get so much room.
Because it's right up on it.
I'd like to see some alternatives for the Ds and the Hs.
I think
I'm not
I
happy
think that
with
there
the
should be
flooring
one,
at all.
I think there should be one. The first one.
I think that the little proof on the right,
Yeah.
it may not be everywhere, but it does balance
Well, we're going to modify
the house out.
The
He's
the
modifying
H.
it somewhat. The
Diane?
reason
In the
why,
H2, yeah,
the
on
reason
the
why this doesn't work,
front elevation.
you see how big it is? It would not be that size, because it's as wide as the main body of the house. That's not appropriate. That's why it's throwing it, the whole perspective is off on that front elevation on
It's not as wide.
Well, the
Why
front
is the
door
front
is
of the house
subservient to
Everything
the
6
land
inches.
in a way
It's
that,
competing with the house.
But it's a house type, when I think you're kind of missing that concept.
It's only a 2-foot difference. I don't like this house. I know Christine has issues with this house.
but
Dawn?
you said you were going to make some modifications to the D, right? And I think then the D will be much better.
But I don't know how to fix this one.
Yeah,
Well,
we're
it's
going
similar
to, more
colors to the
fenestration,
D.
it feels.
What size
well-
is
See,
that bedroom that you have there? Do you know on the first floor?
Four plans,
I don't have the sizes.
No, there's no dimensions on it, but it's to scale there. It's a small bedroom. It's-
Yeah, that's what,
Yeah.
It's as big as my
Well,
car.
probably 9 by 11 or something like
yeah.
that.
9, 6.
9 by 11 with its own bathroom? What kind of sense is that on a floor plan?
Where else would you put
We
these?
need-
Because in order to get, if you're on the first floor in the living space, I mean, I never would do that. I wouldn't live in a bedroom whose bathroom was almost as big as my bedroom.
Bathroom is half the size bedroom.
I mean, it's just like, this is my closet is that size.
Well, you're lucky. Some,
Well, I built my house. And if I were trying to build my house, I wouldn't have a tiny little bedroom with a bathroom in it that's almost half the size of a bedroom.
There's
Some of the floor plans in these things are ridiculous, but you've got limited space, limited funding, and restrictions from the state. And this is a 3-bathroom house, or 2.5-bath house,
Right.
and it's still really small.
Because the
Yeah, so
living room,
I mean, I would think when you heard first 4 bedrooms, you could eliminate the powder room and do a shared bathroom with a shower, and that just would go along.
You know, I think we had that originally in the other,
Yeah, there is a unit that has that, and that was brought up the other day by the masses that we need to provide a powder room.
Who said that?
Kevin,
Who?
he's the,
Kevin McGuire.
Kevin McGuire.
Does
I
he-
forget which one it is.
Does he know where Nantucket is? And the amount of space people want in their homes?
all right, so we'll,
I mean, these are not real big, they're not gonna be houses where you're entertaining a lot of guests.
No, but you gotta
Where you
entertain
need a
yourself.
powder room.
You have to entertain yourself.
I mean, I don't care about the interior, it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, and it's an enough space.
I mean, if it were me, I'd rather have an island that I could sit up to in my house, and I really don't care about a powder room. I'd just like a full bath with a shower.
I've looked at a lot of houses where you can access the common bathroom on the first floor from the living room or the piano, and from the bedroom. In fact, most of the places I've ever rented had that component. This is ridiculous.
well, like I said, that's, I think that is the way we had it originally, and that was requested to put them in.
Tell them it's ridiculous here.
Well, we have a
Where
client.
people want space. He's not your client.
Closing comment?
Your people are your client. Buying the house is your client.
Closing comment. My comment. Air conditioners all should be fenced if you're gonna have them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no fireplaces because there's no chimney.
Right?
Front door colors, basically, try to match the trim. Because you got doors here on page 3 and 4,
Yeah,
outrageous colors.
yeah, those aren't our colors.
So they all have full cellars, right?
Yep,
And put the roof pictures on the plans.
yep, yeah, we're gonna do
And make it right with people. I don't want people to say I made a mistake.
that. I know.
you're gonna come back, make,
Hold on.
A couple of Victorians with their French doors facing the road, here and here, I think, all over here.
Yeah.
So, Linda's right on that, I think.
They'll be facing the back of the property, not the front, the French doors.
They'll face in Surfside Road.
Well, one of them in particular probably is. Maybe we can adjust that one.
That's what I'm saying. You might have a little bit of tweaking
Right.
going on the ones that are back
I'm-
up.
I compared these with French, what you call Victorian,
Yep,
compared to these here, there's more room, and the doors are going to be seen,
yeah.
so.
All right, we'll look at that individually.
Christine has a comment, global comment?
Yeah, it's a global comment, just looking at your rendered site plan. And what I foresee in the future, the one thing that's missing, and I know obviously purposely missing, are any kind of delineations between properties in the
Yes.
backyards. Is this something that, any delineations between the properties in the backyards? Look at this.
Yeah, Christine, I
They're
think,
gonna have to do that themselves.
yeah,
That's not part of the
I know, but
DEC,
is
not
that
gonna
something,
approve that.
exactly, that's what I want to talk about, because I can see where that's gonna become a major issue. Major.
Because they're gonna have to come in, the ones that back up to each other, they're all gonna be coming in with their little split rails, so they can just put split rails up without having to ask. What we have to watch out for is when they put the split rails up to separate the driveways, like in that they don't end up with wire inside the split rails all over the place. We've never approved any of that in there, and every single backyard has privet and wire, or fence and wire, because they are so close behind each other. But they're gonna have to come in for that, or just put a split rail.
we didn't do these.
and the kitchen. The other thing I wondered about is
I know that.
all the houses going along seem to be in a line. They're all the same distance, except a few. They're all the same distance from the street.
Yep.
Can you do anything about that? 'Cause
Vary the
that makes
distance.
it look like a
That's a really
city
good point.
street
Yeah,
rather.
Yeah.
that's Jersey track. I got some very, I've
They're-
seen enough of them in my
They're
They're
not,
staggering them.
they're not all in a line, but they are pretty close, and I think we can look at that too.
Yeah, see,
You may not be able to do much with it on the ones that back up to the bike path, but certainly interior, they can start moving them around, so they would be naturally.
Well, you know, there
placed.
are-
And not, because even on Essex Road, Mickey, they're not all in the same.
Yeah.
No, they're
same
not. That's the
setback.
only thing
Everybody
that
has
saves-
multiple setbacks.
No, I agree, I think that's a good thing, but they are limited backyards, and there's, people are gonna want them to be as
Well,
deep
maybe
as
the
they can.
smaller ones are pushed back,
Yep.
the larger ones are pulled forward.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep,
We're not talking 10 feet, we're talking just a little variety.
few feet.
if you look at the use of land at the housing authority, the parks that have children, and children play in the front yard, more than they play in the backyard. They're on the front yard to the street.
Yeah.
That's their play yard, rather than in behind each
Okay.
house. In behind each house seems to be more of a grill
Right, yeah.
thing. This is just observation from being their mailman.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
If you want to know how it's not working, Mickey, drive through Abrams Park.
This is so different than Abrams Quarry.
And then drive there, but then drive down Essex, and you'll see that there's variety on Essex, and you see what we're talking about, the backyard problem.
Yeah, no, I get that, I know what you're saying.
Okay, thank you very much.
I have one last comment. On page 3, is it? Streetscapes.
Oh, 3?
And I noticed that, next page, I think. But these, I don't know who drew them. They look raised. They could be doubled as speed bumps as a crosswalk. So I don't know,
Yeah.
I hate to say,
No, those won't be raised, don't worry about that.
Go back and say, oh, that was speed bump.
No. No, that's not a,
I think it worked out good.
great, thank you.
Minor changes, windows.
I know,
Sorry.
always is.
We'll never vote with them in his house. We're talking about me.
Yeah, I know.
Me, you know?
Thank you.
That's all right.
I don't know. I called them.
Back to the third section.
thought you did.
Put it with his spot.
It wasn't Debbie.
No.
Private conversation. Go back to the office.
Well, I thought you had.
Okay, are we adjourned, somebody?
Yes.
Ryan's made a motion to
no,
adjourn
no,
at,
no.
what is that? 1:16? At 1:16. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
cool. Is that productive?
There.
It is, I think the next time we'll come back with specific houses on their lots.
Yeah, start making applications, because
Yeah.
you're close enough on several of them
Yeah.
to bring them
take
in with the tweaks that we want.
To the final step.
Yeah, don't bother coming back for another one of these, you're close enough on this.
Just hearing the point you made.
Because if you brought, if you, that second phase is going to be done within 3 years, right?
I think so. I think
Then
it's
do,
a big demand.
Your last comment.
can theoretically come in. If you've got 5 A's,
Mayo?
come in with all 5 A's on the big master
I made a
plan,
big fence when they have the air conditioning. They'll all want the air conditioning.
and just get them out of the
I
way.
think just like every other, like, normal construction permit, we want to have an HGC sign plan, site plan showing this.
But we need to know where all the units are.
tucked it in
That's the
there.
problem.
Right.
We're not going to approve those 8 units
Maybe
on
in
that
your
first
plan.
piece.
It'll be in
If you're
this-
going to throw another A unit right next to it, we need to know where they all
Well,
A's,
you'll-
B's, C's, the whole.
They'll be
bring the
looking at them
whole plan.
individually,
Each time they come in individually, we
Yeah.
want the whole plan.
but that plan may change
Site plan.
if needs change as they're building them out. You may see it, maybe you may want a 3-bedroom on that lot instead of a 2-bedroom.
It won't be right next to another 3-bedroom, that's
Did you put
that's
it
what
in
I'm
your
saying.
box?
We're not approving 2 designs within the 2 houses. We didn't do that in ours.
No, I don't
put it
mean
in your
the
box?
same design, but there's several, 2
But
or
you
3
understand
different
what I'm
3-bedrooms. I know,
saying?
what you're talking about.
Because you have, when Northside started first get built out,
I'm going to carry it on in that other.
we had to know,
Thank
they
you.
brought in a big
Thank you,
plan.
Diane.
There's 200 houses in there. We
Yeah.
said, where is that one?
You take
And
care
where
of
is
yourself,
that one?
Diane.
What color is that one? So we
Yeah.
let them bring in the whole schematic, so when
Right.
they started moving them
Oh,
around,
you'll see
we
them.
knew exactly which house was next to which house, so they didn't have houses
Right.
that looked the same.
Yep.
That's what we're looking for.
We'll be careful of that too.
You know that.
Did you find it, John?
What?
No,
What you
okay.
looking for?
He lost his agenda.
Oh, there's one here. Yeah, there's one.
It's, yeah,
No,
probably got wrapped up in something.
No, John, I've got it.
See you all, have a good weekend.
John,
Two,
Bye, Diane.
Becky picked it up.
there is a couple of these.
Just a couple, right? I only
Yeah,
wrote
we
down
only got
two.
three. We have three, yeah.
Thank you.
My iPad is screwed up, we're taking it to the,
See, we only have about 3 views this weekend. 2 things we put back on, and one we really need to see before it comes in. Actually, 2, Nantucket.
Oh, Tennessee Avenue?
Tennessee.
What were you expecting?
And I spent some time at Pulpus Road.
Yay, 250 Pulpus. Beautiful property.
You know, it is so beautiful. Why would anyone?
Erase
Why
it?
wouldn't you just keep the houses, renovate the houses on the interior? Put in some new windows, whatever it is you want.
And why would you put
Leave it.
That was the original plan.
tennis?
There can never be a tennis court there.
Never.
Never.
No,
Don't
you can
talk
see.
about it, guys. Run a farm here.
I just haven't.
Yeah. It's, I just passed it. I was out there today.
I would like to be
So, bye, Dan.
Bye, Diane. Bye, Diane.
Bye, Diane and Diane.
Take care, John. Yeah. Good direction, what it said. Do that experimental process, or might that make it more complicated? Because you deal with these guys all the time, so I'm an architect.
The issue there is that everybody, you can see everybody has a different opinion.
You know, and
And I know that I'm not always going to get, for instance, if I was going to have criticisms about something
Right.
that 4 others may be fine with, we might get the approval anyway. And I don't always agree with the way that you say. And I don't want her to be the one that's pushing and guiding and sort of leading the design of this.
Understood.
Because I don't think she's really the right person
No,
to do that.
understood. It's,
So we have to kind of play the majority of the pack and kind of wend our way through it as we go. It's not a fun process.
No, it's my very first HVC meeting when I was working on the main project for ACCON. I remember sitting in a couple of them. I was a little frustrated architect, from not really an architect, high school. I should have gone to NC kind of thing. And I was always amazed how subjective the process was. Just astounding. It's just astounding to me. And I've always been a private sector guy. So when I sit and I listen to this, it's painful.
It is painful.
You guys live through this.
It's a part of our lives, and we just try to suffer through it. And they